All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Portfolio Talks, where we're bringing the conversations around money right to you on your fingertips, on your phone, so that you can watch it, save it, share it with a friend, and really just increase your financial literacy. Because if you're listening to this, you might be on your way to work, or you might be at the office, or you might be at home thinking about work. But while you're exchanging all those hours from work, we're going to teach you how to make the most out of your money to make sure you're on the track for a lucrative career. So as always, you got myself, you got Mike, you got Tyson, and by myself, I mean Vishal. And we're going to talk to you today about, what should you know about investments before you get started with investments, and keep it super basic. And just the hope is by the end of this episode, you get an idea of, what to look for, but sometimes more importantly, what to be avoiding. And maybe let's start there. Tyson, from an avoidance standpoint, what should you be avoiding when it comes to investing for the first time?
Um, a conversation we have a lot with new clients and sometimes existing um, investors is the dealing with FOMO up front. My coworker, my cousin, my guys on the job site, man, my trades guys are famous for this. They got X amount of percent. That's what I want, and it's like whoa, like hold on. Number one, we don't know that that's true. Number two, we don't know when they got in. We don't know their strategy for investing. So just trying to duplicate somebody else's results without knowing the recipe, it's a disaster. Almost never works out. The story that I tell all the time was in 2016. Everyone's coming to me. They want to cash out their RSPs and then want to go 100% in marijuana. I said, no, 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 right? Just because somebody made money early on, speculation in marijuana stocks, when the businesses actually launched and were kind of legal, they were legal, but you're not allowed to sell it at that point. There was no business model. And so it's not a really good investment because you're not investing in a business, you're just speculating. And they had already missed the wave. So trying to replicate somebody else's rate of return, we don't know when they got in. We don't know when they got out. We don't know if they're telling the truth. There's a lot of things that it's so much better to do it for yourself, much like looking at somebody else's body and saying, I'm going to do what they did and I'm going to eat what they ate. But, results may vary.
I think I'd add to that is that I think early on, when you're first starting, keep it simple. Don't try to, you know, like you said, first of all, don't try to match your buddy or the story. I mean, those are the same guys who go to Vegas and make money every time. Well, that's probably not true. So,
That's
um,
correct.
to me, start simple. Like go with simple things that you understand that you're comfortable with. Doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, but it's a good starting point, and it you can understand it well. You're going to appreciate it more, and you're going to stick with it and make it as a habit. And that's to me the important part when you're starting is understanding that you've got a long-term goal. You're not going to hit a home run every time. Just try to keep it simple and something you can work with and live with.
Absolutely. Mike, on that point, can you touch base about a mistake that a lot of people make, which is trying to time the market? Like, what's something that you can avoid when it comes to trying to time the market for first-time investors?
Oh, it's the best thing first time investors can do is do a monthly input, like set it up in your account, have it coming out of your account so it's gone out of your face. You don't have to see it, and going straight in, and have it where it's buying every month, because that can help you dollar cost average is what it's called. And basically markets up, markets down, doesn't matter. Just keep consistently buying in and it'll flatten that out. And you don't like people think they can ride the stock market perfectly or the interest rate market or the real estate market, and nobody can. If they did, they'd all be Elon Musk, and they're not. So fact is, keep it simple but keep it consistent, and if you're doing it consistently over time, time will be your perfect support for what you're trying to do.
Really well said. And the only thing I'd add on to that is a couple things. Like you guys both nailed it. I always tell first-time investors, don't invest in things that seem super complicated or hard to get into. When you're a first-time investor, you shouldn't be putting your money more times than not into like hard investments, or like I found this thing for you, or something that seems so exclusive. it's usually going to be like a rug pull, or someone who's bringing you the offer may actually benefit from a lot more than you will. Sometimes you'll still benefit a little bit, but you would have been far better off just investing in something more simple. And as a first-time investor, that should be one of your biggest things is just, start from the very beginning of just getting some index funds or some ETFs, and just start simple and get your feet wet, and ideally invest in things that you know and understand. That's why people like the idea of real estate, because even growing up, everyone knows real estate. You see homes, you live in a home, whether it's rental or owned is irrelevant, but you understand the asset, you understand the commodity that is there. A lot of times people don't understand with ETFs, what is the commodity? When you're investing in an ETF, you can do your research and see what that ETF is holding. So if you're someone who loves shopping and you're like, I love Nike and Aritzia, I can't even think of any of the stores, like, I don't know, Abercrombie or something like that. You can be a partial owner in a lot of the companies and your money can go towards that. So just doing a little bit of research or just asking, I think asking questions is really, really good. Like, you should advocate for yourself as a first time investor. There shouldn't be that much of a difference from you investing with your first $500 versus someone investing with their $500,000. The 500,000 person wants to know, what am I investing in? You should also know what you're investing in, and don't settle for anything less. People are like, oh, don't worry about it. It's such a small amount. It doesn't matter. It does matter. That's your first investment amount, and you can start on a really good path or start on a really bad path. And what we see a lot of times is our clients that hire us as their financial planners, and we start talking about the philosophy and experience of investing. More times than not, the ones that don't have any money invested because they had a really bad experience in the beginning, and really just never started again. They were kind of shell shocked and scared. So just wanted to add it on there. But when it comes to good investments, like, what should new investors be looking for the first time? Like, what are some quick tips that you can steer someone that is wide-eyed? I got my money, I don't know what to do with it. What should they be looking for?
Well, I was going to ask you what's an ETF. I wanted you to explain that because people might not know about
Yeah, so ETFs are baskets of investments. So I think most people understand stocks, of buying an individual stock. So if I want to own Nike, I want to buy a share of Nike, and now I own a part of Nike. That's cool. So people understand that. People also understand real estate, but they don't understand the in between. So instead of buying one stock, let's stick with the Nike example. I wear Nike, I love Nike, I want to buy Nike. That is buying an equity or a share or a stock, and you're going to have one singular stock in that one singular company. That can be really good, or it can be really risky, because if Nike has some kind of issue where one of their plants shuts down across the world, or during COVID, all their manufacturing in China shuts down, it can really detrimentally, or sort of negatively impact this stock, and then your portfolio is kind of gone. Instead, with that same money, you can buy a basket of stocks, which is not one full share of Nike, but you could have, like, I don't know, 1/8 of Nike, 1/8 of Adidas, 1/8 of Under Armour, or whatever that may be. And you can pick and choose what areas you want to invest in. So if you like emerging technology, if you like IT, if you like whatever you want to buy, there's an ETF for it. For better or for worse, there's an ETF for it. I think we talked about this in a different episode. There's some crazy ETFs out there that you shouldn't be buying, but
it.
you can buy small partial stocks of a bunch of different companies, so that way you're hedging your risk, and not all your money is in one singular stock, but instead it's in a basket, or like 8 of different companies that are around the same kind of area. So that's kind of an idea of how you can wrap your head around what an ETF is versus just one stock or just real estate. Tyson, anything to add?
And and
Oh, sorry.
I like that because when you're starting out, you just want to get easy wins. You don't want to try and hit the home run. You want to get easy wins so you can give yourself that, hey, like, I won on that. I did well. And like you said, you might pick one stock and yeah, it might win for a while, but you're hanging yourself out on one stock that's risky. And like you said, it could be just some social media mistake and all of a sudden the stock crashes. So having it diversified is super important. I think having a little bit of a whole bunch of things is so much more. I mean, if they all go up, perfect. But if one goes down and the rest go up, you're still okay. And that's where I think at the end of a year, if you gave yourself a year goal of putting in every time you get paid, and your stocks went up a little bit, that's a win. It doesn't have to be a home run every time. So I hate using these baseball analogies, but it's so don't, like, you're not going to retire next year, so don't worry about it. Like, you've got some time to do this. But I think you start with the basics, and then, maybe you hit a certain target and you set yourself a target of hitting there. And then the next, maybe you go a little riskier. And what that might mean is investment vehicles that are, they're maybe, like a little harder to gauge what's going to happen, but you pick a portion. I mean, you guys, that's your job. You guys figure that stuff out. But what I mean is, don't try to do everything all at once. Try to I like the idea of buying stuff that you kind of understand. I like spreading it out over different stocks that are similar, and I think that just use your understanding of yourself. Like, if you can build yourself into a habit of doing this, what you buy isn't nearly as important as just doing the savings and moving forward with a plan.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's really interesting. So a lot of people are thinking, what do I buy? Like, to use your baseball analogy, everybody wants to hit a grand slam their first go around. They want 1,000% rate of return. This doesn't happen. The people who do win that, we don't know how many times they struck out. And that's a really important conversation, because if we can hit singles for your whole investing lifetime, you're going to wind up with more at the end versus trying to hit the grand slam and striking out over and over and over again. And you could become discouraged.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to talk about the losses. A great analogy, though, to add on to what Vishal was saying, is I used to do this with pencils, and I don't have pencils on my desk, but a singular stock is like buying a pen, and you could break this pen at any time that you want, and it's very easy to like lose its shape and lose its facilities. But when you buy an ETF, it's like you're buying a bundle of pens, and once you bundle them all together, it's much harder to break or bend your portfolio and lose functionality and lose liquidity. And that's essentially what an ETF or like a balanced mutual fund or any other type of portfolio that you put together, it adds a lot of strength and robustness to it. And, it becomes more like a tree trunk versus a twig that's out at the edges of a tree.
Love that. And I think when it comes to what a lot of people need to understand is, before you get to real estate, like there are some anomalies out there, people that will have family money or parental help to buy their first home or whatever. For the most part, before you get to buying your first home, you're going to be invested in something. You know, maybe it's going to be a savings account, which may not be ideal. Maybe it's going to be a basket of stocks, like Tyson was talking about, a tree trunk of stocks that are going to be a lot more resilient to the market up and down. You just let your money work for you, hit a bunch of singles. But either way, that will be probably your journey from nothing to something, whether it be retirement, your first home, your first business, whatever you're saving towards. So when you have that money, I think we've talked about what we want to look for, and Mike was sneaky. He got me to lead him into answering the question, so that was very well done, Mike. But you now know what to avoid. You now know what to look for. So you have this money. Let's just briefly talk about what's the TFSA, RSP, FHSA, all these different non-registered, all these different things. Someone wants to invest in this ETF. How should they put their money into one of these accounts and sleeves to invest that money to buy that stock?
Yeah. My first answer to that is it depends. Depends what we're trying to accomplish. If this is short-term money, maybe tax-free savings account is a great place for you to start, unless that short-term money is to buy your first home. Then we have registered accounts that help. So we have RRSPs. This is January. We're in RRSP season right now for the financial industry, where people can make their contributions to their retirement accounts, and you can deduct that contribution from 2024's last year's income. And so we have RRSPs. It's a tax deferred account where you put your money in, you're going to get a refund, and it's going to grow uninterrupted by tax until you withdraw that. Maybe that's at retirement. There's two tax-free ways you could pull money out. One is for your home buyer's plan. So if you're buying your first home, or if you haven't owned a home for more than, I think, 5 years, you can draw money out from your RRSPs and help to assist with your down payment. The new one, that's about 2 years old now, is the First Home Savers Account. Terrible acronyms, right? So FHSA, is the new one. You're allowed to put $8,000 a year in there. It also grows tax preferred, right? So it's non-taxable while it's growing. If you pull money out to buy your first home, it's a non-taxable withdrawal. If you pull money out to for emergency purposes, fix your roof or buy a car or do something other than buy a home, it now becomes a taxable transaction for you when you pull that money out. So we have two places where you can put money and you can pull money out to buy a home. Tax-free savings is probably the most misunderstood uh, registered vehicle that we have in Canada. You can put money in there and it can grow totally tax-free until the end of time. The only times where we've seen treatment of suspicion from CRA is when people are like operating a trading business of some kind under their tax-free savings account. It's very uncommon. We don't need to go into the details, but it's not common at all. What is the tragic part of that is the numbers from the industry show there are millions and millions of dollars in tax-free savings accounts that are in cash. When we do our financial literacy course and we talk about the rule of 72, if you are getting 10% on your money, it's going to double every 7 years. But if you're in cash at the bank, you're getting 0% on your money. It's never going to grow. You don't take advantage of the tax-free status, and it's a misrepresentation. And I think it's tragic that your frontline staff at a bank don't tell you about it. People don't know about it, and they're missing huge opportunities.
I'll just add to one you just triggered is when people walk into the bank, and not many do anymore, but even if you're online, remember that bank is about the bank. It's not about you. And yeah, they're going to encourage you to open a TFSA and, like you said, put your money in and get nothing, and or next to nothing, and it's not great planning. And they talk up the TFSAs. As soon as you open it, they don't talk to you again, and you don't hear about it. They also talk about selling a mutual fund that they own or whatever, and
That's right.
those things are. I mean, there's obviously, like everything, there's some of them are okay, but most, I'm going to say most mutual funds are expensive, don't get great returns. The big thing is it's convenient because that's probably where you're doing your payroll and that's where your money goes in, and so it seems simple to keep working with them. I'm not a financial planner. These guys are. I highly recommend deal with these guys, or if you have to, somebody else, but don't leave it in the bank for mutual funds. It's just not the best plan for most people. So,
Yeah. The unfortunate challenge that people are going to see now and other financial professionals is the last like 3 years have been really good in the markets. So even the stupidest bank fund or this like the most ridiculous fund that you can find out there, it's probably got decent returns under it. And it would take a professional eye to show you they just got lucky. It might not be the best thing for you. It might actually be the wrong thing for you, and it still produced a rate of return, and that's unfortunate.
yeah.
Yeah, but you do have a unique opportunity. So we'll circle back to this a different time because this isn't really for first-time investors. But just a quick thing on that: if you
Sorry for the
are
rant.
someone that is invested in those bank funds or some fund that you don't really understand and the returns were pretty decent, it might be a great time for you to take your money and run because it's not the right thing for you. And when it corrects and the market corrects, it'll correct hard, and you lose like the last 3 years of gains in like 2 months. So it might be a great time for you to take your money and run and rebalance it. But what I would say is the cool thing for those of you that are investing for the first time is if you're someone who has some money, you're thinking, hey, RSP sounds kind of interesting to me because what Tyson was saying is reducing your tax, which is going to reduce your tax bill. The reason why our RSP season is so, urgent this time of year is because your personal taxes are due in April. So if you put your money in now, which is in pretty much February, you can put, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000 into your RRSP now, and then you'll get the tax refund in April. So it's pretty quick where you can put your money into your RSP now, get your tax return in April, and then put that into another investment as well. So RSPs this time of the year are a lot more common and popular because people don't like the idea of, okay, I can put my money to an RSP, but I'm not going to get the tax return for another year from now. They like the idea of I can put my money in now and I'll get my tax refund in like 30 days. So that's why our RSP season is so popular right now. And of course, if you guys have any questions, let us know. But if you're a first-time investor or potential first-time investor, this can be a great time for you because not only if you have some cash, you can invest it in your RSP and get started on your investment journey. You can also use that RSP money for your first home once it comes time. And you'll also get a bonus on your money because you'll probably get a tax return in April that you can also use to invest in your RSP, your FHSA, or TFSA, or whatever that may make the most sense. But it's going to be really, really good for you. So that being said, I think we're pretty much good here. Anything to add before we jump off, guys?
No, I think just to reiterate, just get started. It's so hard to create that habit early on, but you're so far ahead if you can do it. So we super encourage you to get started with it.
Yep, I like that. Great message. Don't wait.
Yeah.
That's it. Of course, if you guys need anything, let us know. Portfolio Talks, we're going to be putting episodes out every week to teach you about different things regarding money and investments. So whatever you need, let us know. Things you want to see in the episode, drop in the comment section on whatever platform you're watching. And of course, if you got value from this and you think your friends or family will get value from this, please make sure you share to them, save, like, subscribe. It just gives us some extra encouragement to keep on growing stuff on this platform, keep putting out content for you guys. So that being said, see you guys next week.